Welcome all to yet another episode of Brews and Banter. Today we are talking about the best player, skill-wise, on every Premier League squad. Targo, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking a Corona Seltzerita. My wife went to the store. She likes to try new things. For me, this one was a miss.
Yeah. I mean, it's
bad.
It's wet.
Flavor, peach.
It's wet and it's got alcohol in it, so, technically, qualifies as a brew. So
there you go.
Today, I don't mean to, top you, but I'm drinking Kilt Lifter Scotch Ale by Pike's Brewing, and man, is it delicious.
You love those Scotch ales, don't you?
Oh, God. I love Scotch. Scotchy Scotch. Down into my belly. There it goes.
Yum, yum,
yum. Oh, so good. But those are our brews. Let's get to some banter. Welcome to Brews and Banter. Targo, we're going to start the way the Premier League starts every single beginning of the season with Arsenal on the top of the table because it's alphabetical, and Arsenal begins with an A. Who is your best player on the Arsenal squad?
So for me, the best player currently on this Arsenal squad, it's tough to pick. There's a lot of good ones, but I'm going with Martin Odegaard. He's a child prodigy, bought up by Real Madrid. I think he was 15, 16 years old. Got sent on loan quite a bit. Gets sent on loan to Arsenal. Impresses Arteta enough. He splashes the cash, brings him in. And the way he's performed this season, I don't think Arsenal are at top of the table if he's injured. So for me, he is their best player.
Wow. Well, I am going to go with someone who has won more trophies than everybody on the Arsenal squad combined. Coming from Manchester City, Gabriel Jesus. He's so good. His pedigree for City speaks for itself. Why they let him go to Arsenal, I'll never know, but thank you. I very much appreciate it. That man he has made Arsenal twice as good this season, but it's more of just what he brings to a team in general. His counter pressing, his side-to-side movement, the way that he moves in and out of the defense, pulling players in each direction, getting goals and assists at the same time, and then what he does on the ball is like it's glued to his foot, and no matter what you do, the ball is going to go past you. So, to me, it was hard. You could have gone any which way. Odegaard, Partey, Saka, Martinelli. I went with Gabriel Jesus because his pedigree speaks for itself.
So here's where I'd argue against Jesus. Is don't get me wrong, all the things you said about him, yes, correct. His counter pressing, the ball is glued to his foot. But I will say, Arsenal miss him, yes, but they're getting along just fine without him.
Yeah. Then I will counter argue. I don't think this Arsenal side. I guess I'm counter arguing against myself at this point. But I was going to say, I think this Arsenal side could probably be just as good without Martin Odegaard. Fabio Vieira showing glimpses. With Emile Smith-Rowe healthy. But you're probably right. Anyways, Aston Villa. Yeah.
Aston Villa.
This one, for me, honestly, is not even a contest. So
let me guess. It's a World Cup winner.
Yes. Let me guess. He likes provocative moves when he wins trophies.
None other than Emiliano Martinez for Aston Villa, the goalkeeper. Yeah.
He is by far the best player on the Aston Villa squad. I don't even think that they're where they're at without him, honestly.
No, you saw their backup goalie, man. He's a little rusty there, a little prone to some mistakes. So,
yeah.
But Aston Villa, they got some good players. Emi Buendia, Leon Bailey.
Oli Watkins.
Yeah.
We could keep naming the same person at the same time if you want to, but,
But, yeah, I think out of all those players, we just named, I think I got to go with Emi Martinez.
Yeah. It's hard because you can't really disagree with that, and I want to, but I can't. So that's it. Aston Villa, Emi Martinez is the best player. He has transformed them as a team, especially the last couple of seasons. I think without him, they're relegated. With him, they're finishing mid-table. So it's just he makes them so much better, especially, when for a team that's mid-table, goals are hard to come by. Keeping the other team out of the net becomes that much more important.
He becomes a rock for you, someone you can rely on at the back.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Next to probably the hardest one to pick, because nobody likes watching them unless you're an actual Bournemouth fan, which even then it's questionable.
That's rough. That's mean.
I'm just being honest, man. It was hard for me to decide who the best player for Bournemouth was. Who did you end up picking?
So I'll agree with you. It was tough to pick. They're in a free fall right now. Kiefer Moore, their forward, he is supposed to be their goal scorer, not doing the best job at it. And I'll admit, I've only watched probably a handful of Bournemouth games. When they play maybe a bigger team, a Man United, a Man City, then I'll watch them. And of course,
they don't every game they've played Arsenal. I know.
And then of course they don't look impressive when they play those teams. They're getting hammered on.
Yeah.
But as a defensive midfielder, I got to say is probably I don't know if he's their best. I would say he's my favorite player there. But that would be Jefferson Lerma.
Yeah.
Kind of a hard-nosed defender. He'll get in on the goals as well every once in a while. Yeah. That's all about I got for...
it was hard for me too. I kind of went outside the box for this one just because you could have gone with, like you said, Jefferson Lerma, and you could go Dominic Solanke, but he's not that great, honestly.
Hasn't impressed, no.
Marcus, was it Tavernier?
Tavernier, something like that, yeah.
Tavernier, he's impressed, but I wouldn't say he's the best player. I picked Philip Billing. Again, I haven't watched many games just like you, but the games I have watched, he's impressed me the most. I don't really have any argument for or against on this one. But
it's been a while. Back in the day when they were in the Premier League, you could think of some, was it Wilson that played for him? Yeah. Matt Ritchie before, both of them went to Newcastle. Yeah. So they had players like that in the past. Even Nathan Ake played for him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So but this year, it's hard to pick one.
Yeah. So, I picked Philip Billing. Could have gone anywhere pretty much on the pitch for them. Previous season, like you said, you could also pick Aaron Ramsdale at one point. It's just hard.
Jack Wilshere played for him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was their best player, but he was a known player.
No. Most well known, you're right. But he barely played for them. Was hurt all the time. So, okay. On to one that we had a little more success with. This one was a little more difficult to pick, the best player. Going down the list to Brentford. They're impressive this season. A lot of players impressing. I know who you're going to pick because it's close.
I got
a couple of people, but
I got a hard on for him. He's a good player.
Yeah, just kicking around with the boys.
Mr. Ivan Toney. Yeah, he'd be my best player there for that Brentford team. He's banging in the goals for Brentford. I will say though that a couple games he's been out injured. Doesn't look like Brentford skipped a beat. So
no.
He might not be as integral to that team, but I definitely think he's the best player on that team. They do have some great ones. Ben Mee's been an excellent defender. Their goalkeeper's been playing tremendous. So De Silva looks good. Their midfielder. But I went with Ivan Toney.
Yeah. I almost went with Ben Mee. But just to disagree with you, I went with David Raya. He's a stud. Went to the World Cup with Spain over David De Gea. He has been a revelation since they signed him a couple seasons ago. I don't think Ivan Toney scores as many goals if David Raya doesn't keep out the other team as many times. So both on either end of the pitch are
Both are
just
great,
as important. Yeah. Hard to pick between the two.
Matter of opinion.
I went with David Raya because, well, he's different than what you picked. News, though, coming out of Fabrizio Romano. Apparently, David Raya is only available for $15 million. Tottenham looking at him. Just saying. And Manchester United.
Yeah, Tottenham
hopefully they keep
might
him.
want to be looking for a new goalkeeper here soon.
Yeah, so
Lloris isn't
my
getting
opinion
younger.
might change by next season. Let's just say that. All right. Number 5, we got Brighton, who this one might be even harder than Brentford.
This one is tough.
Yeah. A lot of quality all over the pitch.
I will say, so I'll tell you my player, my number 1.
Yeah.
It's going to be, after this World Cup, his performance with Argentina. Should know, come surprises. Alexis McAllister.
Yeah.
He's my number 1 pick. But I got to say, my new favorite player for that team is going to be Mitoma.
Yeah, same.
He is,
electric.
I love watching him. He is fun.
Electric.
He is fun
for
to watch.
$3 million. What a steal.
He's probably my new favorite player, but I think the best player on that team, especially you could see it on display for the whole world, the World Cup, was McAllister.
Yeah. In my opinion, this could have gone a couple of different ways. You start in the back and go with Lewis Dunk. You could have gone Pascal Gross, Solly Marsh.
Pascal Gross would be a good one, yeah.
Until recently, could have gone with Leandro Trossard, but he no longer plays for them, so I could not pick him. I almost went with Moises Caicedo.
He's an excellent
He is an
midfielder.
excellent defensive midfielder and doesn't get the amount of credit that he deserves for only being 23 years old.
And he plays for Ecuador, right? I think I remember him watching him play for Ecuador.
He started for Ecuador at the World Cup.
He's a tenacious little guy in that midfield, man.
Yeah. But I have to agree. Alexis McAllister is the best player skill-wise for Brighton. I would have gone with Trossard, but he doesn't play for them anymore. Fortunately for Arsenal. Unfortunately for Brighton. But they don't look like they've lost a step since he's been out.
They say they won't.
I don't think they'll miss him. Which shows you how much quality they have all around the pitch. And Mitoma, that is a kid to watch.
He is one to watch for sure.
He's banging in the goals. He is lightning in a bottle. Watching him on attack is so fun to watch.
He's lightning on that pitch now, man.
Yeah.
Brighton let him out of the bottle.
Right. Next up, a squad that has umpteenth skilled players. It made it hard, especially with all the new signings they have, to pick. Who's your top player at Chelsea?
Man, I got to say, this is a little bit of a tough one because I like Christian Pulisic. I like Mason Mount. Hakim Ziyech, I believe, is a very talented, skillful player.
Yeah.
But for me, the best player on that team is Reece James. I think he's honestly probably the best right back in the Premier League when healthy. That's the big thing, when healthy. But man, he's I think he's a great right back. One of the best.
Yeah. I mean, he has every facet of the game that you want. Attacking, defensively, passing, see it, the vision to see a through ball.
He can fire a shot too. I've seen him rocket in some goals.
Yeah.
Fast as heck. Like you said, he can curl in across as well.
Yeah. For me, with all these new signings, it's been difficult. With Mudryk coming in, watching him play, man, is he electric and fun to watch.
They might have something there. Yeah, you're not wrong. He could be the next Eden Hazard for Chelsea.
Could be. I mean, I haven't been this excited watching someone for Chelsea since Eden Hazard. So it's fun to watch. But doesn't make him the best player at Chelsea. So
could be
I
by
went
the
with
end of the
Thiago
season,
Silva.
But not yet.
Yeah, I went with Thiago Silva. The man is class personified, always consistent. He's ancient, but he's still just as good as he was 10 years ago, which is crazy to me. Reece James is a fantastic player. I think Thiago Silva he is that much better, personally.
I'll agree. Targo Silva's a great player. Do I think he's better? No, I think skill-wise, like I mentioned, Reece James can do more on and off the ball than Thiago Silva can.
Yeah. I mean, give it a year, the age of Thiago Silva, Reece James stays healthy for more than 6 months, then I would say yes. However, Reece James can't stay healthy for 6 months. And Thiago Silva, he seems to again and again and again show that he is the linchpin in that defense and the only reason that Chelsea are where they're at right now.
Okay, well, I think Reece James, like you said, I know he's not healthy as often as Thiago Silva, but when he is, I think he makes a bigger difference than Thiago Silva.
Okay. Now we go to another part of London, to a team who might have the best name in the Premier League. I'll be honest with you. They also have a lot of young talent. Patrick Vieira at the helm. However, this choice was an easy one. Who's your best player in Crystal Palace?
Well, he's been doing it for years for Crystal Palace. He's their main man, their main attacking threat, Mr. Wilfried Zaha.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer. This is an easy choice. He's proven it. Without him, they are not the same team. The leading goal scorer. He makes them more dynamic in attack. Not to mention, he himself is an actual world-class player on a team that is not world-class. So, yes, Wilfried Zaha for me as well.
Shout out to Michael Olise, the young player, man. He's been stepping up for Crystal Palace and playing well.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be their second best, but yeah, Wilfried Zaha for sure.
Yeah. Give it a couple years. Wilfried Zaha will be gone. It's looking like he'll leave at the end of the season.
His contract's up, I think.
Was that?
I think Wilfried Zaha's contract's up.
Yeah. Yeah, in the summer. But Michael Olise, man, you called it. He's a stud. Goal of the season contender against Manchester United.
Beautiful free kick.
Tearing it up.
He is, man. I told you.
Couldn't hit a better free kick, I'll tell you that. All right. Now to the bottom of the table. Team this one was difficult, I'll be honest with you. Everton, under Frank Lampard, it's hard to choose the best player on this team.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good ones playing right now. I guess going off previous performances and what we've seen them do over, past couple years, I think I got to say Jordan Pickford. The way he performs for England, the saves he makes. I've seen that guy make some incredible saves. So, yeah, I think I got to go with Jordan Pickford on that Everton team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was between a couple people. You had Damari Gray, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Even Alex Iwobi has been one of their better players. But Jordan Pickford, he is their best player.
I would say Damari Gray would be my number 2.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin, man, he just fell off.
Yeah. If you go by skill in previous seasons, I would
had some good
probably
Stevens,
he's my number 2. It's still not close, though. No matter who you pick as number 2, Jordan Pickford's the number 1 for me. So,
yeah.
Okay. Going back to London. This one was tough. Team flying high. They are overperforming. Heck of a coach pickup in Marco Silva. Fulham, again, flying high. Close to that top 4 spot. Who to you is their best player?
Honestly, I would prefer to pick their coach if I could.
Me too, but this is about players. So.
Yeah, so, it's hard not to say Alexander Mitrovic. His goals have been crucial for Fulham, and he's getting a lot of them. So he's been a fantastic pickup for him. I'll give an honorable mention to Andreas Pereira. They picked him up for Man United. He's been playing really well as well. I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
English is hard. But
yeah, it's very difficult.
yeah, Alexander Mitrovic, I would say, is the best player on that team.
I went with someone different.
You
surprise,
did.
Surprise.
Huh.
I went with Bernd Leno.
Bernd Leno, the
world-class goalkeeper on a squad that one might argue could possibly, without some goals from said Mitrovic, be in a relegation scrap.
Yeah, you could be onto something there, yeah.
What
I was
a
surprised
steal
when he
for
got
Fulham.
first. Yeah, I was surprised when he first
What
was
a
linked
steal.
with there. I was like, Fulham, but
yeah, for under 10 million. What a steal. Bernd Leno is a
Great
world-class
pickup.
goalie. As long as you don't make him play with his feet, he's a fantastic goalkeeper. For me, he's the reason why they're where they're at. I mean, again, same with Brentford, same with Fulham. You need both ends of the pitch.
Yeah, you went with the goalkeeper. I went with the striker.
I went with the goalkeeper again. I went with the young sung heroes. Everybody wants to go with the striker. It's the defense and the goalie that, really makes it so that way you can win with a striker. Could have gone with Paulinho as well. He's been a stud. It's tough. Tim Ream as well.
Tim Ream's been great, yeah. He's been an excellent defender for him.
Yeah. But I had to go with Bernd Leno. I mean, maybe 5 years ago, even though he wasn't playing for him 5 years ago, Willian would be, up there. But
maybe quite a few
he's
years
not
ago,
the same player. He's very inconsistent, as we saw at Arsenal. I'm glad he's more consistent for Fulham. He's officially played more games for Fulham as well. So, yeah. It's a toss-up between Mitrovic and Leno. I went with Leno because you went with Mitrovic. So, all right. Going to the bottom of the table again, or roundabouts. Leicester City. It's hard. Maybe, when they won the title, it would have been really hard.
Oh, I don't think so. It would have been Riyad Mahrez.
Or Jamie Vardy. Yeah.
Better than Riyad Mahrez? Nah.
That the last couple of years, it's definitely an argument to be made. N'Golo Kante as well.
N'Golo Kante, yeah.
Riyad Mahrez and N'Golo Kante don't play for Leicester anymore.
Nope. Let's talk about players now.
Can't choose them. So
now I feel like it's a little bit more obvious.
He's playing like garbage, showing his age. So can't pick him either. Who'd you go with?
The one and only James Maddison. The guy who was always injured.
Yeah.
But man, can he curl in a free kick? And he can hit a banger as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I have to go with James Maddison.
Yeah, it's another case of if a player was to stay healthy throughout most of their career, they would be considered a world-class player. However, he can't stay healthy.
No.
So he's not. I think he'd be a shoo-in to start for England if he stayed healthy all the time. But again,
he'd be in that conversation for sure.
He's not. It reminds me of a healthier version of Jack Wilshere. But yeah, James Maddison's good. I didn't pick him. I picked Yuri Tielemans.
He would have been my number 2.
Yeah. It seems like every club is after him with 6 months left on his contract, but
hard not to be. He's a great player.
It's hard not to be. He's a world-class midfielder. He's part of the golden generation of Belgium. Man can hit a ball from 40 yards out like nobody's business. Yeah.
The only goals he scores are spectacular.
Yes. But it was hard for me to choose between him and James Maddison.
That's a tough pick, yeah. I mean, it could go either way.
Yeah. Previous seasons, I would have picked Jamie Vardy personally, but I can't this season. So it came down to those two.
Not even the past couple years. He's definitely slowed down. You can see his age getting to him.
Yeah.
All those Red Bulls he's drinking.
Meteoric rise, though. Let me tell you. From League 1 all the way to the Premier League and then winning a title.
Well, and he still has that record. He's scored in the most games in a row.
Yep.
A goal in a game. Was it like 11 or 12 games?
Yes.
Something like that he scored.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's also the king of banter. So
it would be great to see him and Emi Martinez go at it. Can you imagine Emi Martinez taking on a PK from Jamie Vardy?
Yeah, that would be a sight to see. I'm sure we've missed it sometime in the last couple of years. But right now, it would be very entertaining to see, especially at an Aston Villa game at Villa. So, okay. Next up, a team that's been very up and down. They have a lot of good players, but not a lot of consistent players. Leeds United. They, Jesse Marsh has been good as far as coach for them. Starting to implement his tactics. They're starting to play better. They were doing fantastic last season under Bielsa, but
So they weren't.
because they're very inconsistent. It's hard to pick someone.
Yeah, and I
Who
will
did
say
you pick?
with Bielsa, man, he got a lot of injuries that didn't help him.
Yeah.
Like you said, March is doing a good job. I would say good, not great.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job. But man, this was a tough one as well. Like I wanted to say Patrick Bamford. I really did. If you would asked me this a couple years ago, I probably would have said him, or even last year. But I don't think I can. Rafinha, he was a great player for them, but he left to Barcelona.
Yep.
So I'm going with Rodrigo.
Okay.
He's been scoring their goals for him. He's been a dynamite up top. He gives those defenders a lot of headaches. He's constantly moving. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in double digits so far for goals. So
yeah, and I think he's fourth in the Premier League in scoring this season.
So there you go. Yeah, I'll go with Rodrigo.
Okay.
Lots of players on that team, but I think I have to say him.
I am gonna go with. This one was tough. Again, he could have gone with Rodrigo. Like you said, Patrick Bamford could have picked him, year and a half ago, but not scoring in a year takes him out of contention. This was hard. I picked the U.S. men's national team player of the season, though. I went with Tyler Adams.
Great name.
Very unforgiving position.
Great name,
The man is the workhorse of Leeds United. He's the best player, arguably the best player on the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, that's very arguably.
Yeah, but I love to watch him play. This is a very biased answer. Yeah, I love Tyler Adams and his work ethic. I wish he'd go to a bigger club and show what he's really capable of. But he does great for Leeds United. He stays healthy. He's consistent. And he is the engine in that team. So
I'm pretty sure this is his first year in the Premier League.
First full year, yes.
So yeah, it'll be good to see him here for maybe a couple years. Then, like you said, maybe move on to a bigger team. I think he definitely has the quality.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
mean, I don't want him to be in a Christian Pulisic situation where he's starting one every 5 games, coming off the bench. He needs to go somewhere where he's going to start game in and game out.
I hate to say it, but I think Tottenham could be a good fit.
It'd be a fantastic fit for him. They need someone like that. And I hate to say it too, but as far as styles of play, he would fit perfectly. Yeah, that or somewhere that's not the Premier League. I think if he went to Spain, he would dominate midfields there because it's not physical. It's more technique, and he's very physical. So maybe going to link up with his buddy, Yunus Musa. Just saying. Those two in the center midfield, that'd be a great fit.
I don't know. You could have Diego Simeone as a coach and really be taking out players.
Yeah. I mean,
at Atletico Madrid.
Unfortunately, he won't be the coach at Atletico next year, but,
Oh, that's right.
Wherever he goes next, I'm sure he'll be on the shopping list. So, okay. That is halfway through. So, I'm going to do a little bit of some free advertising. Make sure to check out our socials, TikTok, Facebook. Make sure you check out our Facebook group, join the discussion. Make sure you let us know if we got any of these wrong in your opinion.
And we'll banter right back with you.
Right. Check out our Instagram, Redbubble for some dope merch that we have created personally.
We really appreciate all that. Help us continue doing what we're doing, buying some of our merch.
Let's go. Check us out on every podcast platform, and then check us out on YouTube. So that way you can see Targo's face every time I disagree with him. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. All right. Next up, we go, 11 isn't too far off, but still middle of the table. Very disappointing season. However, star-studded lineup for Liverpool. I mean, who's the best player Jurgen Klopp has to pick from?
That's a tough one. I wanted to say Mo Salah, but I'm not going to. Probably a big surprise there. You know, there's other good players. Honestly, I'm a big fan of Thiago.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I would have said Sadio Mane, but he's no longer there. So I'm going to go with Virgil van Dijk. Considered to be one of the best defenders in the world. Had a little bit of a downfall this season, but previous seasons, man, this guy was a wall.
Mm-hmm.
He was a wall that held that Liverpool defense together. And yeah, he was just solid defender. Even this year at the World Cup for the Netherlands, you could tell he's a commanding defender back there, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when he's on his game, not a player in the world gets past him.
No.
He is... I mean, when he's on top of his game in the last couple of years, I would argue that he is the best defender in the world. I mean, this Liverpool team is stacked with talent. Could have gone with Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luis Diaz. I went with Mo Salah. This one was easy for me. The last couple of years, he's been arguably the best player in the Premier League. Going forward, he makes them 100 times better. So dynamic on the ball. I mean, for a couple of seasons there, it seemed like nobody could stop them.
I'll say, yeah, there was probably a year and a half, 2 years there where he was probably the best player in the world almost.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Messi and Ronaldo, he probably would have been up there with Mbappe and a couple other people. But yeah, he's having a little bit of a down season for his standards, but he's still having a good season by everybody else's. So, yeah, I had to go with Mo Salah. I mean, this Liverpool team is hard. It is hard.
Here's the real question.
Gakpo now.
A prime Mo Salah and a prime Virgil van Dijk. Does Mo Salah get around Van Dijk?
No. No. But that's
like
just
to see
because
that,
Van Dijk's got about 50 pounds on him. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a foul, but that's definitely something that we should probably look up as far as their tapes from training to see if it actually happened. So I still think Mo Salah is better, but
Mo Salah is a great player. I probably just wanted to be different because I figured you'd say Mo Salah, so I said Van Dijk.
Yeah. I mean, it's a banter. Okay. To a team that's even more stacked, that's even harder to pick. Team that has spent billions of dollars. Billion, singular. That is billion with a B. Manchester City. Pep Guardiola's got quite the squad on his hands. You could almost pick 2 11s from that Manchester City squad. Who, right now, is the best player on Manchester City?
Well, I'm going to go with the not obvious. I'm going to say Kevin De Bruyne is the best player on that team. I think without Kevin De Bruyne...
I would argue that is the obvious choice.
Is it? Not Erling Haaland?
Yeah. I mean, he's the best attacking midfielder in the world, arguably.
Well, there you go. He's the best player on that team, then. That's what I'm picking, Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. That team is stacked. You could have picked Rodri, who's arguably one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. You got
Henderson.
Ruben Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah,
Diaz.
There are. Like, I'm a big fan of Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez, but man, Kevin De Bruyne, I think he's just a step above them all.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with the one player you didn't mention, the robot, the Norwegian Viking himself, Erling Haaland.
That's
that man is so good. It's stupid. It's stupid. How Manchester City was allowed to get him for, what was it, 50 mil?
60, yeah, something like that.
56. Oh, I don't care if it's under 100. It's a steal. Yeah, he is so good. It is ridiculous. I was saying beginning of the World Cup that if they let him play for 10 minutes for every single team, it would have been a completely different World Cup. He probably would have been top scorer as well. So
just change nationalities, huh?
Yeah. Just let him come in, drop him in from a helicopter, and just put him on the field, and he would score because he's that good. So, yeah, he's got more goals than he is years old. It's halfway through the season. It's stupid. I think he's going to break the record for most goals in a Premier League season this year.
And I think he breaks that record because of the person serving him those goals on a silver platter, Kevin De Bruyne.
Not the only one, though. I mean,
he's not. You're not wrong.
You got Phil
Bernardo.
Foden, you got Jack Grealish. You got Rodri. He's got so many options around him. That's why his Manchester City squad is just stacked with talent. And we haven't even got to their back four yet. Cancelo, you got Kyle Walker, you got Rico Lewis now, who is a stud as well coming out of their academy.
I will say John Stones looks really good this season.
Yeah, and one of my biggest disappointments of the season, Ruben Diaz, doesn't look as good. He used to be a brick wall the last couple of seasons. Now it looks like he tripped over a feather. So, now we're getting into Harry Maguire territory. So I'm going to switch teams. All right, to the other side of Manchester. Manchester United under Ten Hag is flying. Again, another team that is stacked with talent. I mean, again, you can say that about the whole, top six who aren't the top six. Who's your best player on United? This was a tough one.
This one was tough. Definitely went between a couple players. Could have flipped a coin, honestly, on this one. I went with Bruno Fernandes. I think he dictates their style of play. He's getting in on the goals. The guy can play a ball like no other. Great passer. I was a fan of his before he even went to Manchester United.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Bruno.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good pick.
Even though we don't talk about him.
Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. No. I hate that song, by the way.
How do you hate that song? It's a great song.
I hate it. It's played in my house at least 15 times a day. I hate
fantastic.
Yeah, Bruno is a good choice. You could have gone with Rashford, De Gea. I guess you could have gone with. You're not going to go with McFred or Maguire. Could have gone with Varane, Martinez. I went with Casemiro.
Yep, solid choice.
Bruno transformed them when he came in. Was it a year and a half ago?
2 years.
Yeah. But Casemiro has transformed them into a completely different squad. Since he's came in, I mean, their defense is much better. They have hardly lost at all.
I'd be curious if it was Casemiro or if it was Ten Hag that kind of made that change. Obviously, Casemiro helped. I mean, he's a world-class player. Don't get me wrong. But if Ten Hag gets, someone maybe a couple steps down from Casemiro, are they still there?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Probably not.
I mean, if you look at their games before Casemiro came in, they were awful.
Did you hear when he was about to sign there, he told his agent, hey, call them. I'll fix that.
Yeah.
That's what he told him.
Yeah. He's a serial winner. He's won more trophies than that entire United squad combined. He's so good. He commands that midfield. He reminds me of an old-fashioned defensive midfielder.
A Claude Makelele type player.
Yeah, exactly. Almost even, I almost would say he's, don't berate me for this, but I would almost say he's better than Roy Keane.
He is better than Roy Keane.
See?
I won't berate you at all. I'll agree
he's
with
up
you.
to that. He's the same style of player as Patrick Vieira as well. Just hard in on tackles. If you are dominating a game, he's going to take you out. He doesn't allow, you to play it in between the midfield and the striker. He disrupts everything. Granted, he gets one too many yellow cards for doing it, but I'm not going to fault him for that. In my opinion, yeah, he's transformed this United team. He's the best player.
I'll go with Bruno. He has a Euro.
It's all about them Champions League, my dude. Anyways, I can't really talk because Arsenal has none. Okay. Next up to the surprise package of the season. From Tyneside, Newcastle. Eddie Howe has done wonders with this squad.
Fantastic things.
Couple of good signings recently.
Very good
There's
signings.
a lot of players you could argue is the best player on this team.
Definitely
but who
could.
do you is the best player?
This one, I honestly went back and forth again on a couple players. But I'm going to stick by my gut, the one I picked first and then deleted, and then picked again and then deleted. And then the one I'm going to say, it's Kieran Trippier.
Okay.
I think
that's
he's
not what you have written down, so I'm glad you changed it. I'm kidding. It is what you have down.
I flip-flopped between him, Miguel Almiron, Bruno Guimaraes. And the day I'm like, you know what? He's been doing it for years. He's been a fantastic player. He played well at Tottenham, played well at Atletico Madrid. He's played well for the England national team. Going Kieran Trippier.
Okay.
Best player at Newcastle.
I would say he is the best leader on the team, but I don't agree that he's the best player. I can think of a couple that are better, including Bruno Guimaraes, or anybody, I guess not Dan Burn, but either one of their center backs. I almost went with Sven Botman. Almost went with Bruno Guimaraes. I almost went with Alexander Isak. But at the end of the day, I went with Nick Pope. Because he's the best player on the team. I mean, 13 hours without letting in a goal, that's insane. I understand that part of it is the four in front of you. But at the end of the day, he's the one keeping the ball out of the net.
You know one of those four in front of him.
Yeah, I understand that. So is Sven Botman and Fabian Schär. But
let's see them whip a ball in like Kieran Trippier is. Let's see them hit a free kick like Kieran Trippier can.
Bruno Guimaraes can. I'll tell you that.
You didn't say Bruno, though. We don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, it's because we don't talk about it. No. I went with Nick Pope. I just think England's got a lot of really good goalies. Nick Pope is definitely up there. And I think he's the best player on that Newcastle squad.
He's not even the best player.
Goalies don't get enough credit, man. They don't get enough credit. So,
I got a couple goalies on my list, so I don't want to hear it.
That's because there's nobody else to pick from on those teams. Come on. Yeah. I went Nick Pope. Almost went with Sven Botman. Yeah, there's a lot of players on this Newcastle squad. Miguel Almiron.
They're a good team, that's
definitely
for sure.
Up
yeah.
there. Yeah, it's tough. Like, again, Alan Saint-Maximin. That guy is electric. Could have picked him. If he stayed healthy more often, I would have. So, yeah, that's Newcastle for you. Loaded with talent. Eddie Howe's doing a great job. But that brings us to a team that, is completely on the other side, who have signed the most players in the history of the Premier League in one season. Nottingham Forest. It's hard to even be able to tell who is on the team anymore, who's starting. They've signed so many players.
They have signed so many. It is hard, man.
Again, it was between a couple of people, but...
Yeah,
Were they at
24,
25 signings right now?
I think it was like 24, yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Like, I wanted to say Jesse Lingard, man. I was hoping when he went on loan to West Ham for Man United, I was hoping he was going to have that same kind of form for Forest, but has not worked out.
Mm-mm.
Then they got a bunch of players. They got Serge Aurier, the right back. Mm-hmm. Henderson on loan for Man United, which honestly I think that was probably a fantastic pickup for them.
100%.
Renan Lodi, however you pronounce it, the left back. I think they got him from Atletico.
Mm-hmm.
This one was tough. Like I went with, I think I gotta say Morgan Gibbs White or Brennan Johnson. So one of those two. Yeah.
I'm just
Whichever,
I'm
you
gonna
pick
walk
yours
out.
and I'll pick the other one. How about that?
I'm gonna walk out in front of the Wolves fans. Just go like this. That's all I'm gonna do. Morgan Gibbs White for me. He's been their standout player. You could have gone with was it Brandon Johnson?
Their forward who's been scoring their goals from here lately. But Morgan Gibbs White. Yeah.
But between the two of them, it's a toss-up. I picked Morgan Gibbs White. We'll see how they do this season. They're so up and down and inconsistent, I don't even know.
Yeah, no banter for me on that one.
No, me neither. So, which brings us to a team where this one was very obvious. Very obvious. Sitting bottom of the table. Southampton. They've had some great players over the years.
Sadio Mane, Virgil van Dijk.
Danny Ings.
Adam Lallana.
Yeah. Their academy is world class. But they can't keep anybody. So the one player they have hung on to, I think, is the best. But who is your choice?
I think it's pretty obvious. It's James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, this is not even close.
No, he's definitely their best player. You try to think of some of the other players that play for that squad. I mean, Shea Adams. It's James Ward-Prowse, Mr. Free Kick.
He's a free kick king. I think he's going to pass Beckham without a doubt, as far as most free kicks scored in the Premier League history.
He can stay in the Premier League.
He's only 2 back. He's got the whole rest of the season. He's the one bright spot on a struggling team. Plain and simple. Speaking of struggling teams, we jump next to North London. We're not talking about Arsenal because London is red. We're talking about the Daniel Levy-owned, Antonio Conte-managed Tottenham. So inconsistent. This one could have gone between, I would guess, like 2 or 3 players.
2, yeah.
But who'd you pick?
Yeah, I think if you had asked me this last year, I would have picked a different player.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Harry Kane, obviously. Yeah. Best player on Tottenham. He's been the best player on Tottenham for I don't know how many years now. And like I said, last year probably would have been Son.
Young-min Son?
Yeah, Young-min Son. Could have maybe a few years ago thrown a Hugo Lloris in there.
Definitely not this season, I'll tell you that.
But, yeah. So, Harry Kane, best player on Tottenham.
Yeah, I really can't disagree with you.
I don't think anyone would disagree that, really.
No. Young-min Son, maybe. It's still a hard maybe. Give it, a couple of years ago, maybe you would have gone Christian Eriksen. But, again, even back then, Harry Kane has been the best Tottenham player, arguably, in the history of Tottenham. He does it year after year after year. The only reason they're where they're at is because of him. Hopefully, it's been, 8 years, no trophies? I hope he leaves and gets one. He certainly deserves it for the caliber of player that he is. Granted, he deserved at least one trophy with England, the way he's played and the squad that they have. But, it's Harry Kane all day.
Yeah. You can't not pick Harry Kane for Tottenham.
Yeah. If you were picking best looking, he's definitely on the bottom of the list, but, we're not. This is about skill. So, on to another London squad. West Ham United. One of the best fan bases in all of England. Not the best form, that's for sure.
Not this year.
Not this year. In David Moyes' squad, who is the best player?
I think this one was also another pretty obvious choice. There's some decent players. Jared Bowen's a good player for him.
Yeah.
You could say Mikel Antonio.
Lucas Paqueta.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scamacca, when he's played, looks impressive, but haven't seen enough of him there yet. So I got to go with tried and true, hard-nosed defensive midfielder, Declan Rice.
Yeah. I honestly, there's not a single player that is worth anywhere near to 100 million pounds except for Declan Rice. He is the best player for West Ham. He has been for the last couple of years. This is the same as the Tottenham question. Declan Rice is the best player West Ham has had the last couple of seasons, and he will be until the day he leaves.
Which will probably be this summer.
Yeah, probably. You know, a lot of big English players on the move. Hopefully they get to teams that can win them trophies. But good for them for being loyal to the squads that they've been playing in. So hard to find these days.
He's got a year and a half or so left on his contract.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing West Ham will look to cash in on him.
Yeah, especially if they get relegated. But, it's halfway through the season. Anything can happen.
I don't think they will. I think they got a good enough team. I think he'll hold them up just enough. We'll see, enough. But
I hope so. So
it's
too big of a club to go down.
A big club like West Ham going down, do you?
No. I mean, it would have been like 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago when Nottingham Forest went down for the first time, right? That is hard to take. Or, when Newcastle went down, that was hard too. So
they've gone down a lot though, Newcastle. They always seem to bounce back up though right away.
Yeah. So, okay. To the last one, Wolverhampton Wanderers or Wolves. This one, there's a lot of good players on a struggling Wolverhampton team.
Yeah, you think of the first one that comes to my mind is João Moutinho. He's been doing it for quite a few years now. He's getting up there in age, but he's still a top-notch player. You think of Adama Traore.
Yeah, Adama Traore. Daniel Prudence.
Yep.
Prudence. There's a couple others. Who'd you?
Raul Jimenez, maybe a couple years ago before the head injury. But I think they're one guy. Surprised they've held on to him this long. It's got to be Ruben Neves.
Yeah, he's a tireless midfielder. He keeps getting linked to every team under the book that is anywhere around Europe that is a top-class team. How they've kept on to him, good for him. I mean, good for them, I should say, not him. This was a toss-up for me. I went the other direction and picked Jose Sa just because you picked Ruben Neves. Jose Sa has been a revelation since coming to them.
He's been a great keeper for him, yeah.
Yeah, last season he was fantastic. This season, I don't think anybody could help their defense, but it's where we're at. But yeah, it was a toss-up. Ruben Neves is arguably their best player.
And scores some fantastic goals.
Oh, yes. Yeah, some belters. But yeah, again, that one was hard. But make sure to check out YouTube to see our facial expressions for each other's picks. This was quite entertaining. Let me say that.
Yeah, some of your picks, man. You're liking the goalkeepers here for this one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the unsung heroes, man. They get overlooked way too often. I somehow went with them more often than not, even though I myself play on the other end of the pitch. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, this had some good players in here. I will say these are some good players. Might not necessarily be in the best form right now, but as they say, class is permanent, form is temporary. I think that's kind of some of the players on this list goes.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. Again, make sure you check out all of our socials. Brews and Banter FC on Instagram, TikTok. Join our Facebook group. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us who you would pick for each of these teams. Get in on the conversation. Tell us what you want to see on future episodes. We'd love to hear from you. And I think that's all we got. Again, check out the Redbubble for our merch. Help us keep this going, paying our subscriptions to this, and hopefully upgrade some equipment. We'd love that.
Yes, we would.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for now. As always, cheers.
Cheers.